So I'm like stuck at this place, and I was seeing things that were really concerning behaviors. And then I had a front office worker who she was forcing me to take her husband home in her car and leave my child with her, which I was very uncomfortable with. So I went to the director and I approached this with the director and I said, I'm not comfortable with this. And I told her to call you and this isn't okay. And she wasn't reprimanded at all. And so then on the drive, the husband was asking me if I knew where to get drugs and things like that. And I said, no, dude.
It's too late. You're in the dark side. Don't make good for them.
Hey guys. So I was recording this episode and the weirdest thing happened. I had a really odd screen pop up on my computer, which is a beast of a computer, and it just shut down. We were about an hour into our show and my computer just decided to stop working. So we're taking that as a bit of a sign. She's still going on with her case. So this session with Amanda is going to be cut a bit short, but I promise we're going to do another episode once her case is completed where she can freely go into a bit more detail without worrying about further retaliation. But that being said, I have Amanda here with us and I hope you enjoy the show.
What's up, baby girl? She says, Mom. I love her. Oh my gosh. I got her home and God was all over that one too.
Yes.
All over it.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are
Thank
so
you.
very welcome. I look forward to hearing your story, and it's a blessing to
A lot.
be in a position to provide this opportunity for people.
It helps. It does. It helps heal it. Like getting it out. And like a lot of people are like, don't you fear retaliation? And I said, no, because God tells me do not fear 365 times in the Bible, once for every day. No, if they want to retaliate, they're going to retaliate. So
exactly. And you know, the silence is what's destroying lives.
Exactly. Yep. 100% agree.
So how
God
does
didn't tell me to be quiet.
Absolutely. Right. So
He didn't tell me to be quiet.
I don't even know how to do that. I mean, my big mouth is finally paying off.
Yes. Okay.
So where is it that you're in Missouri, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Missouri.
Nice.
It's actually Missouri, formerly known as Missouri, but semantics. So.
Oh my goodness. So folks, so I have Amanda here with me. She's joining me from Missouri to share her story, to hopefully create awareness and create some change. And it is such an honor to have you on my show. And I'm looking forward to learning more about your story and what it is that you have going on.
Well, where do we start? So I have two daughters. My first daughter, I lost custody of. She's been adopted out. I haven't seen her in over 4 years now. My youngest daughter has been taken from me twice, and I have managed to get her home both times, which has been, it's hard. I don't think it's really hard to express how difficult what they put on you is, but I was falsely accused of things twice with my second child, and I just had to walk through it and keep thinking, okay, hopefully what I'm doing is going to help, but there are certain things that I didn't want to do because they like crossed a moral line for me. And I'm like, but that doesn't feel right. I'm not okay with that. So I refused a lot. And then people would constantly say, but you need to do what they say. But do I really? Do I really? My first daughter was a attempt is what lost her for me. I had a best friend who my god babies and then took his own life. They were only 2 and 4. And it sent me spiraling into a depression. And I was also adopted into a family that wasn't very kind to me. My adoptive mother was not very kind to me. And so like with her abuse and then the death on top of that, it kind of sent me spiraling down, but I was still a good mother to my child. I was still doing everything I could for my child. And she went away for a weekend to visit my family. And like the grief just hit me really hard. And I myself. I woke up in the ambulance and they had to bring me back to life. And then I was stuck in a psych ward. My family never came to see me one time, not once, in the psych ward or in the hospital, despite me dying, legitimately dying. And then in the psych ward, they never came to visit me, and they successfully used the system to take my kid. Granted, I do take some of the blame for that. It was during COVID. And so during COVID, they moved all of our visits to video visits. So I couldn't even see my child child. I couldn't hug my child. I couldn't tell her I was okay. And she was actually getting upset during our video visits because she couldn't understand. So it sent me spiraling into another grief spiral, and I ended up addicted and homeless, and I went through it. And then I got pregnant with my second daughter, and I put my life back together, and yet the system's come back in and taken her from me twice. Let's see, the first time with her was 2021. It was July 15th, 2021. I was at a homeless shelter here in town, and it was a really weird how it got to all this, but like I was offered this house to live in St. Louis from an interview that I did for Ozarks Public Radio on overcoming homelessness. And then I didn't have a car, and they said I couldn't go there without a car and all this stuff. So I'm like stuck at this place, and I was seeing things that were really concerning behaviors. And then I had a front office worker who she was forcing me to take her husband home in her car and leave my child with her, which I was very uncomfortable with. So I went to the director and I approached this with the director, and I said, I'm not comfortable with this. And I told her to call you, and this isn't okay. And she wasn't reprimanded at all. And so then on the drive, the husband was asking me if I knew where to get drugs and things like that. And I said, no, dude, I know where NA meetings are if you want to go to that. That's what I know. Like, I'm on my recovery path.
How about this instead?
Yeah, how about this instead? I said, you ever want to go to an NA meeting? I got you there. But no, I'm not down for that. But I watched a lot of girls there relapse and lose their babies to DFS custody. And I'm like, this is like a pattern, you know? And so then one night, I filed a police report because I was forced to take him home again, and he propositioned me for sex and drugs. And I said, dude, are you serious? And I ran in the middle of the night, and with my daughter in my arms. She was 7.5 months old. And I ran to a gas station across the street from the homeless shelter. And keep in mind, I had filed a police report the night before I ran. So there was already a police report on file, but I was forced to come back to the shelter. And so that night I run, and that front office worker was still there with no repercussions whatsoever. She was there that evening. And I'm like, so I run. And for 4.5 hours, I thought that the cops were going to help me. I told them what was going on, and I said, I need help. Please help me. Nope. They were just trying to get me to hand my baby over, and I didn't realize that, but I wasn't putting her down. Like, I was not putting my baby down.
Right.
They said they would give me formula because they wouldn't let me nurse her, and she was exclusively breastfed. They didn't ever got me formula in 4.5 hours. They kept acting like they were there to help me, but then they took me outside, like facing this shelter. And I'm like, why are we out here? I was so confused. And then I smoked at this time. I quit, but I smoked at this time. And it was like 4 hours I hadn't had a cigarette. So this officer said that she would buy me a pack of cigarettes. So she goes and buys me a pack of cigarettes. And I went to put my daughter down in her car seat to smoke. And the officer goes, I'll hold her. And I said, nope, never mind. I don't need one. And I pulled her back in. And then right after that, they very forcefully threw me to the ground with her in my arms, 4 cops, 2 picked me up in my arms, 2 by my legs, and slammed me on the concrete. My back still hurts from it, and ripped her from my arms, screaming bloody murder like a movie scene. Please don't take my baby. Please don't take my baby. And she was screaming bloody murder, top of her lungs.
So what was their reasoning for that?
They said I was on drugs. And then in the DFS report, the whole petition against me, they put that I was suicidal and running into traffic. Yeah, that was their whole allegation for keeping my child from me. They threw me in a psych ward.
So why were they originally called there?
I'm assuming, yeah, that's a really good question. That is a really good question. I'm guessing the officer said that I was on drugs and called them to intervene.
Well, yeah, but why was the officer there to begin with?
Because at Come and Go, at the gas station, Come and Go, the people who were working, they called the cops. Even though I begged, I said, please don't call the cops. I don't trust them. Please don't call them. But they did.
For what? What was their excuse for that?
I guess I was acting erratic. Like, of course I'm acting erratic. I'm terrified right now. I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. I don't know. I guess maybe the workers thought that they were going to help me. And another weird thing about it is when I was at the gas station, one of the front office workers from the shelter I was at, they came over to the gas station and tried to convince me to come back to the shelter. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Please go away.
So did you run to the gas station to ask them for help?
Mm-hmm.
And
I ran and I said, please, will you please?
Police?
Mm-hmm.
So the police is working with this shelter then.
Yeah, because here's the thing about that. I found out that the person who was managing the shelter, the one that I went to and said, look, this is concerning for me. She is currently back working for DFS.
Yeah, I've with the advocacy work that I do and the other advocates that I work with and the stories that I've heard, it's scarily common for a lot of these, there's a lot of organizations even out there that are, literally a part of the trafficking, not helping. They're literally trafficking women and children.
They are. And that's the thing that I should add is the fact that when the officers forcefully threw me to the ground, the moment that they did that was when the human trafficking hotline picked up and I started talking.
Wow.
The second I started talking, I was thrown to the ground and my baby ripped from my arms.
That's just so crazy. So had you noticed other people in situations that were questionable?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I heard that other women were sleeping with this person who tried to get me to sleep with him, that they had relapsed. A couple of them had their kids taken. It was another level of hell. And the thing about the shelters is that they have all of your information. They know if you have support, they know if you have people, they knew that I was a perfect target. I know that makes me sound a little paranoid, but I was a perfect target. My family hasn't spoken to me since they took my daughter. Plus I was early in recovery, so I didn't really have a support system yet. It was just me trying to pull myself back up.
Single moms are 100% targeted, 100% targeted. And there's tons of evidence all over the government's own statistics. So it's not really something that people can argue. We are absolutely the number one target that they have. And they regularly take advantage of single moms who are in situations to where they could use some help. And it's extra crazy because Congress addressed this a couple of different times. But the last time that it was addressed, they specifically said, look, it's CPS's job and responsibility to provide help and provide access to all of the services that are available. And that for any child to be removed, there has to be evidence that that child is in imminent danger. The problem is the states and the CPS, they don't follow those laws
at all. And that was one of the things with my case. I wasn't offered any support or any resources because after they threw me to the ground and take her from my arms, they threw me in a psych ward. And in the psych ward, I begged for help there too. I said, listen, I'm not okay. Like, this is not, I need help. And instead of help, they forced me to stop pumping. I was in so much pain. I was just crying, soaking through shirt after shirt after shirt, saying, please let me pump. Please let me pump. And they wouldn't. They pumped me full of so many drugs. I can't tell you what was left and what was right. My therapist and my Lutheran caseworker, they hunted me down because I had told them that I was scared and I was afraid something was going to happen to me. I said, if I'm not here, please find me. Please, something happened to me. Please find me. And so they both hunted me down in the psych ward, and they said that I sounded like I was gone. They were pumping me full of some serious hardcore drugs. So then I get released from the shelter. I have all the records. I have all the records. They had me on Halidol, Risperidol. Halidol, Risperidol. There were like 5 different drugs, and 3 of them were antipsychotics.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. And then before I was released from the psych ward, they tried to force me to take a 30-day Halidol shot, and I advocated my way out of it. I said, absolutely not. I am here on a 96-hour hold, not a 30-day hold. I'm not taking that shot. You are not giving me that shot. And mind you, I have a therapist and I have a psychiatrist already. I'm in therapy. I have psychiatry because I know that I have a lot of trauma that I needed to work through, and I wanted to be the best mom I could be for my daughter. So they both were like, because I got out and they had diagnosed me as bipolar. And I specifically went to my psychiatrist and I said, do you think that I'm bipolar? And he said, absolutely not. I don't see that in you at all. And I had been with him for about a year at this time. So then I get out of the psych ward and I don't have anywhere to go. I can't go back to the shelter, obviously. I have nowhere to go. And so I ended up staying with a friend of mine in another county, and they kept my child in custody for 6 weeks. And I kept saying, where's my attorney? I need an attorney. Where's my attorney? And they were like, well, we haven't assigned you one yet. We haven't assigned you one yet. So the day before I was supposed to go to court, they gave my child back to me and they said, oh, the attorney called and she left me a message. And she I just saw that I was assigned to your case. Congratulations. Looks like she's coming home. Why didn't I get one when I was asking for one? Like, yeah.
And how old was your daughter?
7 months old. 7 months old.
So not even old enough to speak and tell you what happened.
Nope. It gets worse. It gets way worse. This past one was way worse than that one before. So yeah, I got her back. Took me 6 weeks. I got her back. Our nursing relationship completely ruined. They wouldn't allow me to nurse her at our visits or anything, despite my hair follicles and my drug screenings being clean. They wouldn't let me give her my pump milk. She had diaper rash. I mean, it was heartbreaking to see the diaper rash that my child had because of what they did to her. Like, it was horrid. I was in tears when I saw it. I literally started crying. I got her back when she was 9 months. And then in 2021, it was June 26, 2021, I got in a car accident and my daughter was taken yet again for a car accident. Something that people do every
accident.
Yes.
Were there any charges against you for it?
Nope.
They really do just make up the law and use whatever excuse they want to.
They do. I was out of it. I was absolutely out of it. I had a medical something going on and I was out of it. And they claimed that I admitted to acid usage, that I physically assaulted law enforcement, that I physically assaulted hospital staff. None of which were true. None. When I watched the body cam footage, an officer and EMS worker. Now, keep in mind, they questioned me for it was over 30 minutes before even getting me an ambulance. Over 30 minutes, the cops questioned me before getting me an ambulance. And I couldn't respond. I was out of it. I was completely out of it.
Well, you probably had a concussion.
I did. I absolutely had a concussion on top of whatever was going on medically, because in my hospital records, my iron was completely gone. My white blood count was almost double what it's supposed to be. My potassium was incredibly low. My levels were just everywhere.
Right.
There was hardly anything in the green. And it's and my lactic acid was triple what it's supposed to be. You guys didn't think to, and another one, my blood glucose. There's a good one. It was 270. 270. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the fact alone that there was a car accident, I mean, the first thing you do is, get medical assistance. It's just kind of common sense, you would think.
You would think. Now, granted, I did run my car into a garage, so I can see how that would look a little bit suspicious. But there was something medically going on with me. And my daughter was 19 months old and she was safely buckled rear facing in her car seat, because I'm very much a car seat safety advocate. And she, my first instinct, because one of the very first things I remember was using superhuman strength to shove my door open to get to her because there was a garage door on it. My first response through a concussion and a medical issue was to get to my daughter and make sure she was okay.
Right.
That doesn't scream somebody who's on drugs and is neglectful to me.
Come on now. Especially if you have the medical documents to back it up too. They shouldn't have even been getting you help is the first thing, for medical resources. The first thing they do. And, if you have your suspicions as an officer, that's great. That's all fine and dandy. There's a process and there's a time and a place. And that was not it.
It was not it.
Gather your facts first. Investigate the situation.
Well, this is how their facts went. Within the first 5 minutes, they found my NA key tag on my key ring, because I am in recovery. I went real far down the rabbit hole after they took my first child. After she was adopted, I was done. I wanted to die. I didn't care. I didn't want to live. I couldn't attempt suicide again because I promised her I wouldn't. So I just tried to do it with drugs. So yeah, I am in recovery. The officers found my 18-month NA key tag, which is over, I'm 2 years, 7 months now. But anyway, that's beside the point. They found my 18-month NA key tag and the officer said, well, this is obviously a relapse. What proof do you have of that, officer?
Wow. What a huge disrespectful assumption to make.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So then another officer had the audacity to say, try to find her car insurance information if you can even find it, since she's just a dope fiend.
Wow.
Another officer got on the ambulance. This was a female officer, mind you, which makes it even worse. Female officer gets on the ambulance and says, yeah, this is the second kid I got to take today because the mom's a piece of shit mom.
Sweet Jesus.
Mm-hmm. This is all in the body cam footage, which I didn't have access to for like the first, I want to say 5 months in my case. It was right around 5 months that I finally got it. So I didn't know all this. And I'm like chasing my tail trying to figure out like why they even have my child. Like, I know I wasn't on acid. What is this? This is insane. But in the body cam footage, my admission to acid, now keep in mind throughout this entire thing, like I was saying yes with unintelligible speech constantly. It was yes, da 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 da, yes, da da. Like I was talking to something, right?
Right.
And so then there's an EMS worker and a cop that are talking to each other, and you can't hear what I said. It's muffled by their talking. And then the EMS worker, he turns and he says, "Wait, did you just say you did acid?" And I said, "Yes." And then he said, "How long ago did you take it?" And I said, "I don't do street drugs anymore." It was the clearest thing I said in the entire body cam footage. I don't do street drugs anymore. And there is no physical assault, and there's no physical altercation anywhere on this entire body cam footage.
Lord.
Yep. Blatant, flat out lies. And it kept my child from me for 11 months. Yep.
That's just crazy. There's nothing that your attorney said that you could do for that loss of time and them. I mean, they obviously
blatantly. He said at the first court date, because we went straight for a jurisdictional hearing. I was like, this is insane. I want my child back. I didn't do this, so I want her back. So we go straight to a jurisdictional hearing, and the judge says that he's keeping my child in custody. And my attorney goes, this is insane. If this was criminal court, there's no way that this would stand right now. None.
And it's really scary the way that family court systems, they just kind of take over, and there's no due process,
no accountability.
Many rights are consistently across the board violated, like on a regular basis. I don't think a lot of people, I don't think they realize just how big of a problem this is. And and it's the same thing with the good dads out there who want to be a part of their children's life and who are good role models and good men, and they just happen to be in a crappy relationship where a female. I mean, there's plenty of women out there that do take advantage of the system and that do take advantage of things and whatnot. It happens for sure, but I think it's not so much supporting mothers or supporting fathers that the court does. They support conflict, because that conflict is what's going to make them
making
more
the money.
And it's like they don't hold the good dads that go through and that want to have a relationship, and the courts just completely ignore them when they try to get somewhere. And then you have kids that are in abusive situations, then they get sent to be with the abuser, and it's just all to take advantage.
Well, I feel like that's because they know that if they send the kids with an abuser, then the protective parent is going to keep fighting and keep spending money to fight for their child. And the good dad is going to keep fighting.
That good dad that wants to spend time. They know it's going to make them money.
Exactly. I hate saying that, and I know that it's hard for people to understand because they want to distance themselves from our situation and think that we did something to deserve this, because to have it happen to you it's hard to imagine.
Well, there's so many people that still have such strong faith in our system, and they want to believe that they're, for the most part, they are doing the right thing and they are doing the right choices and trying. But, I'm telling you, it's not true. That is not true when it comes to family courts. And unfortunately, and I've heard this from every single person that I have spoken with that has done the research and, been a victim or is an advocate, every single person says all their research, all the stories they heard always comes back to trafficking. It's all part of the trafficking. And our court systems and child protective systems and organizations and shelters, they are 100% a part of it. Absolutely 100%. A part of it. And how do you get people to understand and believe that? You know what I mean? Like it's been
I don't think
hard.
I don't know that you can. It's so hard to convince people that this, and they want to look at me and act like I'm crazy, but here's the thing, I'm not crazy. I don't even take any psych meds anymore. I'm off of everything. I'm not crazy. I'm smart. God told me it was time to go off of my meds because I was on 2 addictive psych meds, one for anxiety and one for my ADHD. And he said, it's time, Amanda. You can do this on your own. And I said, okay, I got this. So I haven't even had a psych med that's prescribed to me in in over a year. Like, I made it through the loss of my child without my anxiety meds, which was a feat in and of itself. But like,
I mean, that's enough to push you over the edge.
mhm,
I mean, being a good, safe parent and then just having your child ripped away from you and being told there's nothing you can do. I mean, I'm not sure how the hell people expect you to react, and it's it happens all the time, And it's very common for these victims to then turn to drugs and alcohol. I mean, that's a really serious situation to have to
well, a lot of
endure.
us are victims that are getting re-victimized by the system over and over and over.
Exactly.
Like, my PTSD from this is, my therapist and I are working through it right now, but how do you not have PTSD from it? How do you not let it carry over and affect you? And how do you not let you live in fear? Like, if I can't get in a car accident without being targeted, where's the next target going to be? And then the next time,
it's extremely
and there's no
traumatizing in general. And along with that trauma, I mean, you already have, paranoia that you deal with from PTSD. I mean, especially if it's, a chain of events of multiple things that have happened over and over. Of course, that's going to cause paranoia, and it's completely legitimized. I mean,
but
there's
it's funny because the things that I'm paranoid about, it's like, oh, well, you guys just keep proving it to be true. Isn't that hilarious? Like, yes, you keep confirming it. Like, good job, guys. I'm really proud of you. Way to go. I had my caseworker in this case, she made comments. I have a list of comments that she made. And I was just like, how can you even say stuff like this to a parent that you just did this to? Like, how do you think that that's okay? It's like they literally try to break you with the things that they say to you. Like, I remember there was at one point she said, it was right after they took my child. And she said, "What are you doing for work, Amanda?" And I said, "I don't work right now. I'm focused on being a mom and healing the trauma that y'all keep putting us through." And she goes, "Well, you're not a mom right now." What?
Wow.
But mind you, within the first week, at that first visit, when I finally got to see my child, keep in mind, 19 months old, at that first visit when I got to see her, they had trained her to call the foster mom. And when I reacted to it, I was marked as creating a hostile and unwelcoming environment for my child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, how do they expect you to react about something? I mean, that's way overstepping.
Here's way overstepping.
Fact, that's dangerous for the child's mental, and I mean, that's a lot of confusion for a young child.
Huge confusion. In a week, 1 week. That's just, and I'm the one creating the hostile and unwelcoming environment. What? You're creating it by getting my child to call somebody else mom. I'm her mother.
Oh, they're masters at manipulating and setting you up for failure, and then coming up with their own story and narrative to follow.
It's amazing how they do it. When you watch it all unfold, it's like, whoa, like, I am so grateful and so blessed, and I was able to make it through. That doesn't mean that it was easy. That does not mean that it was easy at all. So my caseworker, she loved to overstep. And another point where she overstepped, and tell me how you would react to this, she forged my signature to obtain my medical documents. Not even kidding.
That's extremely illegal. Extremely illegal.
Yeah, but good luck finding an attorney to take your case, because they're so protected. It is insane. I've called so many attorneys and I'm like, this isn't okay, because they sent them to me, addressed to both of us, and she had put on there to have them sent to her office, but they sent them to me, addressed to both of us. It is very clearly not my signature, because I won't sign releases for them. They gave me this whole stack of paperwork to fill out in the beginning, and I said, no, I'm not filling that out. I don't sign your papers. I don't cooperate with that. So she went as far as to forge my signature to obtain my medical records.
That's just crazy. And it's, and you're right. I mean, they do all this stuff, and what are you going to do? I mean, you have to hire an attorney, and you have to take it to court to even try to get any justice with these people. And
then you have to look at fear of retaliation. If your child's still in custody, you pretty much don't want to, like, I'm talking to you right now, and technically my child is still in custody. Like, I got her home, but my case isn't even closed yet. Right. So, but I'm not one to sit in fear and wait for them to come back.
We're not going to play that BS game. Sorry, folks.
Sorry, folks. I'm not doing it. hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And I'm okay with that.
And now there's a lot of people who know about your BS too. So maybe consider following the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
Uh,
it was like my caseworker just like made things up as she went. And there were so many things that were so concerning. I always had a support person here for the first 3 months of my case. I said, you're not coming to my house. You want to come in my house? You can get a warrant. That's how you'll come in my house. You're not coming in my house. I was in a car accident. You're not coming in. And I stood that ground for 3 months. And then finally, like, I had to let them in because I wasn't going to get my child back without. So I always had a support person here for it. And so then at court one time, it was brought up and her supervisor said, well, Amanda won't let her caseworker in without her attorney or a support person present. And that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Unless you're trying to do some shady stuff.
Right. Yeah. You are perfectly well within your rights to do so. And that changes nothing.
Yep. Yep, but they brought it up in court and said it was a problem. And then there was another point where my caseworker had the audacity in the courtroom to say, I feel like we need to get Amanda new supports. Why? You don't like my Lutheran caseworker and my therapist because they advocate for me? You're trying to get me to, you're not going to get me to leave these two. They've had my back this entire time. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're free to choose your own support systems. It's just so scary how much power and control they try to force over you.
It is. And isn't that the point of a support system, is to have the same ones to build that foundation so that if you needed something, you have that support there. The whole point in supports is not to keep switching over and over and over and over.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? But they have so much power and there's no oversight. There's no accountability. There's no one who keeps them in check. No one.
Absolutely. And corrective measures that you have to take are non-existent as well.
Well, the corrective measures that you can take are contacting people in the same agency, which that makes no sense.
Yeah, they do nothing about it. Like
nothing.
even when you like contact the bar association and things of that nature, I mean, most times it's a slap on the wrist. And you know, the only thing it teaches them is, oh, I need to be more careful about the shady shit I do so I don't get caught again.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the only thing that does. And I've been a firm believer and firm promoter of, you are put into a position of power and you abuse that position of power, you should never be allowed to hold a position of power again. You've done shown what you're capable of and what you're going to do.
And you're not going to stop doing it.
So exactly. That's character. That's, you know, that's part of your character, part of your morals, part of your values. Generally speaking, things like that don't just change. I mean, and there's, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people who do make an effort to be a better person and whatnot. But, you know, I mean, that takes a lot of hard work and it takes time to overcome that so, you know, given these judges and attorneys, you know, 6 months
and the
out of
caseworkers
work.
too. The caseworkers too. They, like, my caseworker, so at 7 months into my case, she was no longer my caseworker. And I thought that she was gone, like, out of doing case management, but turns out she's just at another agency now, doing the same thing to other families at a different agency.
Yeah,
they just pass around the bad seats.
When shit hits the fan, that's what they do. They just shuffle stuff around and make it appear as if they're doing something to create change, but they're just moving them somewhere else so they can hurt people somewhere else.
Keep trafficking. I mean, honestly, that's all that it is. Traffickers they just move around. They don't actually leave. Like, if it was actually about helping the kids, then that woman wouldn't be doing case management ever again at all. Yeah. It's not. My new caseworker who came on, she said she's from a different state. And she said, it was 5 or 6 other cases that are so much like yours, kids who should have never been removed. And she sent them all home.
Yeah. Have you reached out to Tracy Lynn?
No.
So I'm going to put you into contact with her. So, plug for Tracy. Hi,
Tracy.
Tracy has a spectacular team that she has put together, and they are working with Congress and Senate and such, not really kind of sketchy with the details and whatnot. And
Okay.
my brain damage doesn't really allow me to retain new information the
Okay.
greatest. But general scheme of things here, they are auditing CPS agents nationwide, and they're going to be
Leave.
forwarding the information to the Senate and or Congress or whatever the case may be, the powers that be, to create change because they have been made aware that there's some serious issues going on. It's also my understanding that there is some sort of a massive investigation going on as well
That's my
on a
understanding too. And
federal
here, like,
level.
the irony of there is an I know it to be true because I was supposed to testify. That's the most ironic part of my case. On my first case, I was contacted by the powers that be, and I was supposed to go testify on July 24th when my child was in custody on what they did to me prior. And I didn't get to because my child was in custody and my car was in police evidence. So,
Wow.
yep. Yep.
That's just crazy. It makes you wonder if that was all a setup too.
Well, I can't talk about that here. We can talk about that later, girl.
Another date.
When I can prove it,
We'll have a
but like
do-over.
the things that I know to be true are that I was supposed to go testify. I was contacted on how horrible my case was. I was contacted. It was that bad. And then you guys do it to me again? How unreal is that? And I truly believe that they pushed me and pushed me and pushed me and pushed me because they needed me to break.
Oh, absolutely.
I have more information than I should have, and they needed me to break. They needed me to relapse, or they needed me to kill myself. They would have been freaking completely happy if I would have killed myself.
I was just talking with an advocate I work with out of Texas who she literally said that they put you in positions and situations to where they literally try to make you break. They want you to look and sound crazy, and they push you to that point. So that way, when you do react to something in a normal way that most people would react, they can say,
look, she's crazy.
My gosh.
Oh my gosh. That is
that's
not
so
an appropriate
concerning.
reaction. Yep. And I
It's
think the thing that
all
made me
intentional.
it's completely intentional. And the thing that made it easier for me through all this is that I was raised with a woman who was a complete narcissist. And like what they do to you is so similar to narcissistic abuse with the gaslighting and the it makes you feel insane. So I could recognize those spots where it was like, nah, this is not okay. This is not okay.
Yep. And that's how they roll. And I mean, and this is, I mean, nationwide, I've had plenty of BS happen to me here in small town Williams County, Ohio, in the middle of the blessed cornfields. It's happening. I mean, there's tons of lawsuits and such out in California that are coming out against CPS.
Well, I just saw a thing earlier that my state, Missouri, just had, it was 90 kids go missing from foster care in 2023. 90 kids.
Yeah.
90.
Yep. And there's
it just popped up on my news feed today.
There was a bunch in Texas that an advocate I work with brought to the attention of a judge down there. And they found that they were being trafficked. And then she was retaliated against and arrested and put into jail for harassment. And then and now they're dragging it out. They, intentionally, we could just drag it out for the next 3 years and it's going to trash your reputation. And
yep. And you're going to lose everything that you have and you're going to be destroyed and you're going to have to get out and start completely over. That's another thing with my case. One of the biggest signs of human trafficking, sex trafficking, is stealing identifying documents, taking communication with the outside world, taking the money, not letting them have any access to money. Well, here's the irony in that. In my car accident, guess what went missing? My ID, my credit cards, my cash, my cell phone, my daughter's shoes, my daughter's car seat.
Wow.
All missing. Never got them back.
That's so scary.
Now, my food stamp card did magically appear on my caseworker's desk like 6 months into the case. Just magically appeared, but only that.
Oh, how convenient. Well, if she took
Mhm.
that, then obviously she took everything else.
She said, she had the audacity. She said, "Have you been in my office? Because I found your food stamp card." And I said, "I haven't been in your office since I had my first visit with my child." And I checked in police evidence and I
Wow.
checked at the hospital to see if they were there. And neither of them had it. So I'll leave that up to your imagination at where they went.
Unreal.
Mhm.
And like, how do you prove something like that? I mean, especially if they have the police working with them.
Exactly. I'm still paying $800 on a Galaxy S22 that I don't even freaking have. I had to go through the hellish process of getting another ID when I can't get another social security card because I've had too many in a lifetime. Because when I was homeless, my belongings got stolen over and over and over and over. And I kept replacing it because I'm like, I need this to be able to get a job and get out of this situation. But it just ended up being
I didn't realize they had a limit. I mean, you pay for it.
10
Wow.
10 social security cards in a lifetime. You can write in for an exception after the 10, but they have to approve it.
That's insane.
And being homeless and having your belongings stolen over and over is not an acceptable reason. Would you quit, kitten? Goodness gracious.
I have 2 cats, including a mini.
Gotta attack this computer. Lord help me. Lord Jesus. Reinforcements for this cat.
So
Do you
cute. I have a little teeny tiny kitten.
I got him for my daughter. And this is another ironic thing in my case. I got this kitten for my daughter and we had it for 2 weeks. And the day of my car accident, at 10 o'clock that morning, we were at the vet getting our cat all its stuff. We were there at 10 o'clock in the morning and my car accident was at 2. So they're and I provided proof of that. I said, look, I was at the vet with my cat. So their alleged stuff is I went to the vet with my cat at 10, got home at 11, and then dropped some LSD and went for a drive on a Monday afternoon.
Cool. Something to do, I guess.
The logic is just
Lord, well,
and
I mean,
that's what I kept screaming.
And you had testing though too, didn't you? And you've had previous testing as well.
They took a hair follicle. I had to chop my hair off because they keep taking hair follicles from me. And so like they'll chop it right at the roots. And so the new growth kept tangling with the old growth. And I had hair that was like down to here. Yeah, baby girl. Come here, baby. Oh, you just wanted to see me. I just wanted to see you. She has a hard time being away from me, even for
go through all that as well.
It's traumatizing for any child to go through it. Like I've talked to a lot of kids who were in the system and they said, even though my parents were abusive, I would have rather been with them. And I'm not. So I can only imagine what it felt like for her. You want to say hi? Say hello.
Well, hey there, princess. Look at that beautiful princess dress. I love it.
Here, hang on. Let me turn this off for a second so you can hear. You can say hi for a sec. There you go. Now you can talk.
Hi, princess. I love your beautiful dress.
Yeah.
So pretty. You look like Cinderella.
Yeah.
No. What princess do you look like?
Which princess?
Are you Princess Aria?
Is that your favorite? My
so
favorite
awesome.
is Princess Belle.
Princess Belle? We haven't watched Belle. We haven't watched Belle yet.
Yeah.
Ooh, you will love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yes, sweet is.
I like your pigtails.
Do you like your pretty piggies?
Yeah.
So cute. Sorry, I took your mom away for a little bit to talk.
Yeah.
See, it's okay. Neighbor Paul's playing with me. What are you and Neighbor Paul doing?
It's light.
You slide? It's light?
No, it's too loud.
It's loud? What's loud?
Oh, your computer's loud.
It is.
Turn it down.
Okay, it's turned down.
I have a really big mouth and I can be very loud.
Okay. Is that better?
Hi.
Hi.
I'll turn it down.
Well, if I turn it down anymore, you won't be able to hear it all, goofball. I love you. Can I finish talking to Danielle and then I'll come hang out with you?
Hello.
Oh, you want to say hello still?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, tell Danielle, what does a doctor listen to your heart with? What does she listen to your heart with? What does a doctor listen to your heart with? What's it called? What's it
goes
called?
in your ears.
What's it called? What's a heartbeat called? A stethoscope.
Very good job. What a smarty paws. You're so
You are very
smart.
Turn it down. Why don't you go see if neighbor Paul will get you a popsicle? So anyway, what were we talking about? Trafficking, my ID, and all the things getting stolen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that happened. And then, oh my gosh, there was so much in this case that was just unreal. Because, like I said, I've been through it. They took my first child and adopted her. And, I think not that it's easy for anybody to go through this, but as an adopted child, it made it so much harder because I know what I went through as an adopted child. And the fact that as an adopted person, we're constantly told that we should just be grateful that somebody wanted us and that we were chosen, and this adoption narrative needs to change on top of the DFS narrative, because as long as we're painting adopters as saviors, nothing's going to change. I screamed about abuse constantly and nobody would listen. There was nobody to listen to me. I think we got disconnected. Danielle!